Good evening, and welcome to the community meeting for the Blue and Dillion fires. I'm Charity Berry, and I'm a public information officer. For our online participants, if you could, just a moment, please. For our online participants, if you could put your comments or questions into the comment section of the Facebook page that you're watching. We will be happy to try to address those in our Q&A session after the speaker presentations. All right, I have statistics for both the fires. For the Blue Fire, we have 1,718 acres, 0% contained, 494 personnel. For the Dillion Fire, we have 9,100 acres, 21% contained, 1,075 personnel. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Donna Pepin.
Good evening, good evening, everybody. Donna Pepin, Agency Administrator Trainee. I do work for the Six Rivers National Forest, but I am here representing both the Six Rivers National Forest and the Klamath National Forest. So I know you all are here today and listening in online because you care about the communities in which you live. And so I want to assure you that we're here for that same reason. I also know that living with a fire in your backyard is a lot, and it takes a toll on you, and it interrupts your daily life. So, and I also understand what it's like living with fire after the fire's out and working through that recovery mode. So just know that the team is working hard to minimize those impacts. They also continue to be focused on the priorities, which are life and property, and working with cooperators to help us do that, and also protecting those values at risk. And so, you know, those are the natural and cultural resources out there, as well as other things like critical infrastructure. And we've got a lot of resource advisors and cultural specialists who are working hand in hand with crews out there on the landscape. And we're also very connected and speaking on a daily basis with the Karuk tribe. So, and we also have a lot of local folks working on the fire. And then you all are here to help us find out what those resources are on the ground. So because we only know what we know. And so one of the great things about having community members like yourself involved is to let us know those things, whether it be water lines or a creek behind your house, things like that. So we appreciate your continued engagement and asking those hard questions, and I look forward to communicating with you after this. Thank you.
All right, we have James White, fire weather. Just one moment.
Forecasting observations, and that is to ensure both firefighter and public safety, and to aid in both tactical and strategic planning for the incident. I want to talk a little bit about the weather we've had over the past few days. You may have heard that we had a red flag warning issued yesterday. We talked about that in some briefings and in public meetings. The good news is that a lot of that threat, a lot of that activity of severe fire weather didn't materialize for our area. It did materialize elsewhere in the state, though. That instability kind of triggered early yesterday morning near Sacramento, southeast of Sacramento, and created several large fires down there. When that went off, it put a large amount of clouds into the upper atmosphere. Those clouds moved with the weather system over our area and ended up keeping us nice and shaded throughout the day yesterday, kept temperatures lower than expected and humidities higher, and just generally mitigated a lot of the potential. Today, we started with those clouds over our area. We even heard a whole bunch of sprinkles here in Happy Camp last night, pitter-pattering on the tents, but only a few hundredths of an inch, and that really wasn't much more than a normal morning dew. It didn't really moisten too much of the environment. And as we moved through today, those clouds moved out of the area, warmed things up, and what little rain we got quickly evaporated away. This afternoon, we still had some of that instability. And what I mean by instability is just the ability for the atmosphere to mix, the ability to get the smoke out of here, the ability to get sun on the fields, and for fires to interact with the larger atmosphere and put up a large smoke column. We still had that instability today, and with the clouds out of here, it got nice, warmer, and drier. And out of the blue fire, we did see some columns. On the Dillion fire, for you closer in Orleans, it did stay cloudy longer into the day, stayed smokier, and so it stayed relatively cooler and moist. It still got into the 90s. Still, your relative humidity is pretty dry there, around 25%. And we did see just some very small columns, smoke columns, come off the fire late in the afternoon there out of the southeast side and the northwest side. As we head through the future, we're keeping these elevated conditions or enhanced fire weather conditions for one more day tomorrow. We have the question of clouds once again. There's a shield of upper level high clouds that'll pass over the area that adds some uncertainty to that forecast. Those clouds are very high, so they might be thin enough, made of ice, for sun to penetrate the ground. If they're thin enough, or if they move out of here quickly enough, we'll once again have that heating on the ground with good potential for those high temperatures up there in the upper 90s. Your humidity is back down there in 20%. And tomorrow we are expecting a return to our normal diurnal winds that we've seen on these fires. On the Dillion, that's mostly been southwest winds. It was really calm today due to that cloud cover. If we get sun on it again tomorrow, those southwest winds will return a little bit stronger, maybe some gusts around 20 miles an hour. That's nothing out of the question that what this fire's already seen, but it's something for us to pay attention to. As we head later into the week, Friday and into the weekend, we have high confidence that those fire weather conditions are finally going to start backing off. We're going to lose that instability that'll keep the smoke closer to the ground and most likely keep things more shaded, help cool things off. Our humidities are going to start rising, particularly our humidity recoveries at night as we get a little bit more marine air sinking into here, maybe chunking up to those higher elevations night by night, helping improve those humidity recoveries. By the time we hit early next week, we're looking at much cooler and more moist conditions than even we normally see here around early September. And we have the potential for an early season rain system to come in around next Monday and Tuesday. That's pretty far out for a weather forecast, so there's still a lot of uncertainty in that. You know, if you look at the models, about 50% of them don't show any rain at all. Although there is high confidence will at least be cooler and more moist, the rain part is uncertain. But there is about a 50% chance that we get wetting rain, or even the potential of up to half an inch around parts of the fire. The Dillion fire in particular has a higher chance of rain than even the blue fire does. So that's your good view of hope in the future, but don't forget we do have a couple more days of enhanced activity here, so stay alert. We'll be getting updates to you guys out should that be needed, and I'll be staying behind here if you have any questions, even though we're virtual here.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Turner. I'm the fire behavior analyst for the team. As the fire behavior analyst, what I do for the team is I predict what the fire is going to do, where it's going to go, and how fast it's going to get there. And I'm looking at three things out there in the landscape. I'm looking at the topography. The topography is the hills, the mountains, the canyons, the river. I'm also looking at the fuels. The fuels are very important because that's what the fire burns through. And the fuels I'm concerned with are the fine dead fuels. These are the pine needles, the leaves, the small twigs, the twigs less than a quarter-inch in diameter. That's what really carries these large fires across the landscape. I'm also looking at the weather, and that's why we bring a meteorologist on staff, so we have the most accurate and informative weather we can actually get for the fire out here. And that weather's been the driving factor. It's not only dried those fuels out over the last several weeks, but it also shades or the wind blows on those fuels, pushing the fire around. And that shading and that wind has been very important the last couple of days. That shading comes over the fire, shades those fuels, and they moisten up. They don't dry out from the sunshine on them. Plus, with the lack of sunshine, we're not getting that preheating. That preheating, when the sunshine is on them, allows them to burn quicker and faster. So with those two things, it's kept the fire moderated for the last 24 hours. So coming up tomorrow, we still have that possibility of those clouds coming back in. High base, maybe light, and maybe not there at all, but there's still that probability. If we get the free air, free sunshine, then those fuels will dry out quicker, they will preheat, and the fire behavior will pick up in intensity around both fires. Now let's take a look at the fires and where I think these things are going to go over the next 24 hours. Down here in the Dillion fire, we'll start over here on what I call the thumb spot. The crews have been working on that for several days now. They've really pounded that and have that well treated. I don't think we're going to see anything come out of there. There still is some heat in there because those fires burn into the big heavy logs and the stumps, and those take a while to extinguish or to consume. And so some of those are still going in there, but the crews are working pretty hard in there. Down here on the south end of the fire, that continues to back down into Rock Creek, into the drainage there, and that's going to continue for the next couple of days. As you heard from weather, we're got that drier weather. That sunshine will help accelerate that, but it's just backing down the drainage, and that's going to continue. We're also going to continue backing off Dillon Peak itself. That's been backing off there very slow. It is going towards the south, but that's going to continue tomorrow. The big mover is going to be off to the west here. That's in Cedar Creek. It's backing down into Cedar Creek, and then it crosses Cedar Creek and makes a run up the adjoining slope, and then it hits the top of that ridge and throws spot fires out off to the west. And that's going to continue over the next couple of days. More importantly, here along Dillion Creek, this fire has been moving pretty steady along Dillion Creek, just moving into new fuel every day, and then consistently throwing spot fires off to the north into the old burn scar there. Luckily, that burn scar, the fuels are such that they're pretty weak in there to support fire. There's little pockets the fire's finding, and it's burning around those, but the spread is very limited, and I don't think we're going to see a great deal of spread through that old burn scar. And then that brings us to the spot over on the northeast corner. That popped up a couple of days ago. The crews have been working very hard in there. They have that pretty well contained, but there's still a lot of heat in there. I've got some concern that some spotting may come out in the next day or so. If spotting comes out, it'll probably go off to the east and get into the green fuels out there, and then it's going to have an opportunity to move around once it gets into this free fuel, and will want to go off to the northeast. Then on the blue fire is an interesting fire in that a lot of the activity is along the west side in Salt Creek, No Name Creek, and Bark Shanty Creek. What we're seeing there, those are big drainages, and the fire's backing down into them and throwing some spots and some rollouts. Rollouts are when burning material catches on fire, like a pine cone or a log, and then it rolls down the slope because it's so steep, and it sets fire lower down the slope. And once that fire gets established, then it runs back up to the top into the black. So we're starting to see some of that where it backs down, spots, or rolls out and then burns back up. And that's some of the columns that we were seeing out there today, were those rollouts and that running back up slope in Bark Shanty and up here in Salt Creek drainages. Now, the movement to the north is stalled pretty good. For up to this point, the movement to the north has been primarily in the early evening hours and into the evening hours. When the downslope winds would hit, they would drag that fire downslope to the north. And that's pretty much stopped because the fire has gotten down so low, the humidity is so high that it's not wanting to move down through there. And the fuels have started to peter out up there. So I think any kind of movement to the north is going to have to be around some of those poorer fuels up the creek drainages to get further up north. And then on the Walker Creek drainage, that's been backing down towards the road very slowly. Crews have been picking that up and holding it on the road up to this point very, very nicely. And that takes us all the way around the blue fire. And I'll be hanging around if you have any more questions about fire behavior. Thank you.
Good evening, Jason Prentice, Air Resource Advisor. One of the reasons that I'm here for this incident is to provide information on smoke and its impact on air quality for you, the general public. To do that, we issue smoke outlooks each morning. Those outlooks are issued to cover areas that are seeing impacts from these fires. Currently, we're covering areas from Hoopa up to Orleans, all along the Klamath River, including Happy Camp, Hamburg, and then as far east as the I-5 corridor, including Wairika and down towards Mount Shasta, as well as areas of Etna and the valleys there. At this point, for smoke, we are seeing significant impacts all along that Klamath River basin. Areas from Hamburg down through Orleans can expect to continue to see at least periods of air quality that is considered unhealthy. Areas such as Hoopa, Hamburg, and other areas out to the east will continue to see air quality impacts, albeit probably not to the extent of those other areas just mentioned. At this point, for more information on air quality and for those daily outlooks, you can find them at fire.airnow.gov. With those outlooks, we hope that you can also take measures to protect your health. And with that, videos that you can see on airnow.gov/wildfires, as well as ones that are posted to the Facebook pages each day, such as that DIY air cleaner video that was posted earlier. But with that, please remember, see those smoke outlooks every day, make informed decisions for your health, and otherwise be safe. Thanks.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Josh Eichhammer. I'm one of the operations sections chief with California Interagency Incident Management Team 1. Echo. Hold on just a sec there, everybody. We got an echo in the room. How about now? All right, we're going to run with it. If I get a thumbs up. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start today with the blue fire, and then we'll finish with the Dillion. An important note for the blue fire is this is a full suppression incident. So we've been given clear delegation of authority and direction from the Klamath National Forest that we're to confine this fire, go direct on this fire, whatever we need to do to contain it to the smallest possible footprint. Priorities on the blue fire for today include protecting critical values at risk, homes and critical infrastructure in the general SIAD area. That also includes communities in Walker Creek, Grider Creek, Ladd Road, and working down Highway 96. To date, we've provided direct structure protection for 60 plus homes, and we, in addition to that, have evaluated about a total of 250 homes. I'm going to take a moment to come on into the fire itself and talk about the actions we're doing directly along the fire's edge. So as the fire behavior specialist alluded to, we have resources in here on the east flank of the fire, working on holding the fire's edge along the road here. Coming around to the north end of the fire, where you can see these two kind of heads that are actively backing today. For folks that are out in the community, you may be seeing that fire backing as we speak. Crews have evaluated opportunities to go direct in here, and they're also working on constructing indirect line coming along this pink line and around this other pink line, working down back to the river with the intent of trying to cut the main fire spread off from working towards the values at risk in the highway. Coming around to the west side of the fire, we did have some fire growth in there over the last 2 days. We have some spot fires that have progressed down from Walker Ridge towards Grider Creek. Crews are in there evaluating what they can do to go direct in that area if they can do so safely. Hazards in that area include a high density of snags as well as steep and arduous terrain. Efforts working around to the south remain the same. Folks are evaluating opportunities to get in as close as they can to the fire, using aviation where they can as well to help check up the spread of the fire. Let's zoom out just a little bit and take a look at what we're doing beyond our primary plan here on the blue fire. To the east, we have resources that have engaged heavily along SIAD Ridge. The efforts there include dozer line and road prep. Should our primary efforts not work holding the road, we'll have a group of folks in a piece of ground prepared that we can defend should the fire proceed. Coming around to the bottom of the fire, we have resources working around to the south, looking at opportunities to come across, make investments with prepping of roads, and again, installing dozer line where they need to create a bit of a catcher's mitt should this fire want to progress to the south that's defendable for folks. Moving over to the west side of the fire, we are also looking at continuing to make investments along Grider Ridge should the fire progress down and we're not able to stop it along Grider Creek or the Pacific Crest Trail. That concludes my operational update for the blue fire. We can now move over to the Dillion. All right. So the Dillion fire is the same intent from the Six Rivers and Klamath National Forest. This is a full suppression incident. We're going direct where we can do so safely, and where we can't go direct, we're confining the fire to the smallest logical footprint. Efforts today, I'm going to start on the northeast side of the fire in Division Alpha, where we were calling the Dillion Spot. That's been a multi-day spot fire that we've had crews in actively trying to engage in very steep and arduous terrain. Currently, crews are conducting tactical firing operations, working to contain the spot fire to a hand line and bring that fire down to a place of conclusion where we can start mop up and have things secured. There remains a threat for the fire to spot across the Klamath River, and we have resources spread out across Highway 96 prepared in the event that that should occur. Coming down Highway 96 on the east side, resources continue to work in the T-bar area, mopping up and making sure that we're protecting any remaining critical infrastructure values at risk and trying to leave things in the best place we can post-incident. Additionally, we have a structure protection group that's working from T-Bar through Donahue, Patterson, all the way down to Soames Bar, really looking at where we need to be organized and protecting the community should the fire spot back across Highway 96 or we're unsuccessful on the south end and the fire continues to progress. So we have people out prepared and ready to address that. On the south end of the fire, we're about 4 days into trying to go direct and stop the forward rate of spread to the south of this fire. That's been a challenging endeavor, and we've had a lot of work done in that area. Right now, things are looking really good up to the Rock Creek area, and crews are in here right now trying to work on their ability to pick up some spot fires and some slop overs here that came over the ridge last night and the previous day. So we'll look forward to reporting out more on that tomorrow as we get through today's shift. Additionally, efforts along the fire's edge here is to continue to hold the fire along this road, and we're making preparations, moving fire out to the north, heading up towards the Go Road. To the south of this fire as well, we are heavily invested in an alternate plan should our primary not work, where we are preparing lines, indirect lines along Beans Ridge should we need to use those as a primary holding feature if direct attack doesn't work. Coming around to the north of this fire, we did have, as the fire behavior specialist alluded to, fire cross Dillion Creek, and we've had some northwest progression. We have people evaluating opportunities for, again, direct actions where we think we can do so safely, and we are also looking at installing some indirect hand lines to the north above Pony Peak in the case that these spot fires continue to progress and trying to keep things primarily out of the 96 and away from the critical values at risk. That'll conclude our operational update for the Dillion incident, and I'll be available when we're done if you have any questions or concerns that I can help with.
Thank you, Josh. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nolan Colgrove. I am the district ranger here locally. I have the Lower Trinity, Orleans, and Yukon Ranger District. And on the fire, I serve as an agency administrator's representative. The agency administrator is Chris Christofferson he's the forest soup on the Klamath National Forest. So things are a little bit different than they were a week ago when we were here or so in terms of the management of the fire. So last week we were dealing just with the Dillion and working with the team, and we've added that other fire up here to the north to their portfolio. So they're managing 2 different fires for us now. So I really appreciate all the horsepower that they bring. They have really helped us with logistics. We couldn't even feed people for the first 3 days of this fire, so that was pretty bad. Just because of our abilities here, some new things that we're going through in the Forest Service, and it's really good to have a team come in and help support. So they've been a godsend really to help us through a lot of that. On the Dillion fire, want to talk about a couple of things tonight. One of the things I want to talk about is successes. And as this fire started last week over here by Dillion Mountain, it quickly spread down to the south and then came into this area. So for general location, this is the Dillion Creek Campground. T-Bar Road goes up right here, up towards the Kennedy property. This is the out towards Hans and Chris's, out towards the end of Carter Creek. Soames is off the map a little ways. So the fire started over here, and then a couple days later, or so, maybe even the next day, it spotted across. And it spotted across towards these houses that were right in here, and that's one of the things that we look out for. That's one of the priorities for us, to take care of structures. And so the team came in and they took that over from our local team and really focused that as the priority. And you can see now that's got line all the way around it, and that was one of the successes I wanted to share. So that was one of our main values that we asked the team to protect, and they really did a great job at doing that. The other piece was we'll call this the Dillion spot. They focused on that to try to keep this piece of property right here safe. And if you know that part of the world, you go up there by Blue Nose Ridge and you go around the turn, up around the bend there. It's pretty steep on that backside of the hill, and it's pretty steep on that backside of the hill here. And the hotshot crews that were out there, they were able to put a line in and start the fire that. So I was up there watching it until just about 35 minutes ago, and they were about halfway down, which will help out a lot in terms of being able to secure that thing and button this side up right here so there's no fire on the east side of the river. So that's pretty helpful. The other thing that we asked the team to focus on was keep people safe. And so we started putting this line in on beans, which will protect the community of Donahue, Ten Eyck, and Soames, and further down towards Orleans. Rock Creek being in here, you guys all know that you're driving along the river. This is steep country, so the elevation rises really quick from the river up to the top of some of these little hills. So that shows how steep it is. And these ridges don't present a whole lot of really good containment features to put things on. So these guys are out here working hard in Rock Creek, back up towards Dillion Mountain, and trying to put something in to keep this as small as possible. Keeping it as small as possible is one of our current directives that we get from above. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do. At the same time, we want to make sure that we're protecting this whole back door here from coming into the community. So the team focused on that as well, and things have been going pretty good there. That line's in, and this line is holding. This actually looks not too hot in here today. Even though we've been going through those 100-degree temperatures, today was 97 most of the afternoon, and things were behaving pretty well in this part of the world. Can't say that for out in this part. This keeps moving out to the west, and so we're working on with the team on what our best options are out there and to keep people safe. As you all know, locally there isn't a whole lot of options out in this neck of the world. You get back out here towards the Dillion Divide, the Go Road, and then that's probably where things are going to try to be held up. So other than that, I just wanted to say thanks to the team for helping, and if anybody has any questions, let us know. The camp has folks there. They have PIOs, been running the trap lines and trying to get as much information out on a daily basis. But if you have any additional questions, please contact the team. They have a number there. And with that, I'll turn it over to the IC.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Allison. I'm one of the incident commanders for California Interagency Incident Management Team 1. Our team is incredibly committed to transparent, proactive communications. We are providing information through these community meetings. We are also placing operational videos on both the Six Rivers and the Klamath Forest or Facebook pages twice a day. We have a trap line through both of the communities, and we're all sending people all the way out to Forks of Salmon. So if you are looking for information or you're missing any type of information, please reach out to any of our team members or our liaison contacts. Our goal is to serve the community. With that, I'm going to turn it over so that we can have some question and answers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to our presenters. So let's go to our question and answers. We had a few come in online, so I'm going to do those first. All right. Has the Dillion fire jumped Rock Creek? And I'll hand that off to operations.
So the Dillion fire is currently in Rock Creek. We're holding it off of the Highway 96. Fire is backing down in different places, and as I mentioned earlier, crews are trying to get in there and go direct to get a handle on that. Now, the fire currently has not crossed Rock Creek, and we're doing what we can to hold it in its existing footprint.
All right. Our next question is SIAD in an evacuation zone? And I think I'm going to hand that back to you as well, or unless our sheriff has been able to join us. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go to our sheriff online. All right, we're not able to connect with him. I'll hand that to our IC.
I just wanted to reiterate, those evacuation areas come through our sheriff's office, and so for the latest information on that, I would ask you to go to your evacuation layers as well as their Facebook page. They've been very good about posting those out there, and if you have any questions on that, if you could reach out to the county.
Okay, our next question is the fire affecting everyone's Wi-Fi? The question comes from possibly the Blue Fire, that's the information I had. If anyone has any info on that.
I am certainly not a Wi-Fi provider, but I'll give you my first stab at that. I would imagine that if you have a Starlink or those things that are satellite derived, that some of the smoke coverage could provide some connectivity issues. Outside of those things that are satellite provided, I would imagine that there should not be any issue with your Wi-Fi.
And in addition to that, I was told we don't have any issues with infrastructure for, like towers. Is that correct?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you. All right. That is what I have for the online submissions. I'm going to go to in the room. Do any of you have any questions? Okay. We have another microphone.
Yeah, I'm curious if the 14 and 17 road, which sits on a broad ridge between Cedar Creek and Coffee Can Creek, I wonder if that road is being opened and being looked at as a holding feature as the fire moves to the northwest.
Hey, Max, thanks for the question. And, we are looking at all options that are viable, historical, and current to accomplish our mission here. And if you have an opportunity to spend some time on a map after this, I'd love to take a peek at what you're talking about and make sure we're all pointed in the right direction with your question.
Okay, any more questions in the room?
I think we have another one online.
Okay, let me check online.
I think I'll hit it.
Okay.
I believe we have a question about the elk herd in Syad. That I know of, we have not seen any loss of any of those, but we have seen the elk moving around in the area. Most of the time, those larger ungulates, they can sense the smoke, and they usually are able to get out in front of it, sometimes even more quickly than us. But we have seen them in and around, and we've also been messaging to our crews to know that they're out there and to be safe.
All right. Let's see. I have a note here that says that the sheriff was unable to join us tonight, but he wants to pass on his thanks and your patience and understanding, and thanks to the firefighters for all the hard work. And they will assess current evacuation levels again tomorrow based on tonight's progress on the fire line and the upcoming weather. Do we have, we have another question here. Great. We have a runner. Go ahead.
My name is Aaron Hockaday, Happy Camp Public Relations Liaison for the town of Happy Camp and the River Corridor. This morning when we talked about these spot fires that went on Pony Peak, I forgot to let you know that those two creek systems, Swillop Creek and Arbery Creek halfway down has water rights, and they use it for drinking water. So no retardant in those areas at all. No chemicals within those two creeks if you can help it, if it gets away, gets in there. But I really don't think so, just like you, because of the burnt scars in there.
I really appreciate that, and I would also ask, we do have both cultural and natural resources within our team. They've been providing us feedback to let us know all of those issues, but if they do not know about them, or you think that you
Max Creasy again. This question's regarding structure protection, and I want to question the appropriateness of having some of these crews that are out there on structure protection. I know there's different types of crews out there, and some seem to be available to do brush removal around homes. I had that done. I had some chipping done, which I'm very appreciative of. But the question is, to other people have also raised this issue, and are there crews out there that can help homeowners, and if so, what's the main contact?
So Max, we have two things I think woven into the question here perhaps. One is unplanned event under a wildfire, which I'll speak to, and one is a planned event trying to do hazardous fuels reduction around your home. Is that correct? And you're asking about both situations or just the wildfire?
Both situations.
Okay. So from a wildfire standpoint, I think it's important for the group to understand that our resource allocation and movement is a fluid and dynamic situation. It just is. There's a lot of moving parts there, and so what folks can do when they come through to engage in structure protection is variable. And again, some of the time, the skill set, some of those other things are also kind of dependent on the group that's able to show up to do that work. We want to do everything we can to protect the community from this fire. It's important to note that we may work to protect a home, for example, without doing a tremendous amount of brush work around that. Some homes may be standalone, and some homes may be in a position where firefighters feel they can't stand safely to do that work, right? Or don't have the time or the resources to do the prep that's needed. So just a couple examples of where it is dynamic. In regards to our efforts again on both the Blue Fire and the Dillion, we're going to do what we can where we can and be thoughtful and deliberate about prioritizing the most immediately at-risk resources. In regards to longer-term opportunities to do work within your community, I believe this community in particular is really well organized and proactive around the community wildfire protection plans, and so I would reference that for both the folks online, and I think there's a lot of leaders in this room, I believe yourself and some included, that can help get people pointed in the right direction to how to organize as a community around providing protection for your homes. There's a tremendous amount of resources through the county and the state, and federally we're here to be an excellent partner for our local and county and state partners. So hopefully that helps.
All right, for the interest in time, I'm going to conclude our Q&A session. If you have further questions, please, for those here, we're going to stick around and we can address your questions and go to a map with you. And those online, please put your questions in the comments, and our Facebook pages are monitored. I have one more I was told coming in, so we'll go ahead and hit that. Okay. Is there any resources checking the surrounding areas for sparks carried by wind and starting new fires?
Yes. We have a robust organization here presently that is 100% dedicated to accomplishing the tasks that we have at hand. They're staffed 24 hours a day here for that purpose, to make sure that we're not missing anything or we don't have a critical loss that we weren't there or didn't realize was happening. In addition to that, we're working hand in hand with the Klamath and Six Rivers National Forest. We've had great partnership with our CAL FIRE partners in regards to wildfire response to ensure that whether there's a new human-caused ignition or a spark or an ember or something jumps the line here on the fire, that we're prepared and responding to that in a cohesive manner with a focus on protecting life, property, and critical infrastructure. I'm available if there's any other questions around that after.
All right, thank you. Let's see here. For further information, you can follow us on our Facebook pages. We have a information phone line, and we have community meetings. Tomorrow there's going to be another virtual meeting, and we appreciate your attendance, and we hope to see you tomorrow on the virtual meeting.